All right, let's start this fucking garbage truck on fire rolling down a hill.
All right, this week, I know it's been some time, fans, but this week what we saw a movie about a man riddled with syphilis. His name, Willem Dafoe. What we saw, the Willem Dafoe story, the gay detective from Boondock Saints. No, we didn't. But I'd be happy to finance that film if I had the money to do so.
It'd be interesting, that's for sure.
What other syphilis-related films are currently not in theaters?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I think there is another film.
Trolls World
Oh,
Tour.
yeah, Wild Bill. Yeah, the one with Jeff Bridges where they shove a needle up his dick.
Wait, that's real?
Yeah. Because Wild Bill, I'm pretty sure he had syphilis or gonorrhea or something like that, and they had to use like a hot needle and shove it up his dick or something.
Jesus Christ! It's just like not train spotting, shallow graves.
I don't think I've seen that movie. Thanks for spoiling it.
It happens very, very, very early on.
Yeah.
Somebody shoves a needle into their dick. So what do you think about Capone?
Capone?
Yay or nay? That's the film that we saw. In case you morons couldn't figure it out. Once again.
Yeah. Capone with Tom Hardy. Honestly, like it was just like a boring, tedious mess of a film with like unintentionally hilarious scenes in it. To me.
Yes. Did you get the feeling he was trying to do like some kind of a sort of like what's that Paul Thomas Anderson movie? The guy who is an oil man.
There Will Be Blood.
I felt that a really low rate version of that throughout most of this movie.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't get that, but it's interesting that you brought that up because I was thinking about There Will Be Blood, not when I was watching it, but maybe it was a conscious thing.
The one scene that really made me, aside from him obviously losing his humanity all throughout the film and eventually leading to a boiling point, the scene that really got it for me is like right before he meets Matt Dillon. Right around the time he meets Matt Dillon the first time, and there's like this operatic music playing, and there's just shots of like drone shots of just like a lake or a river or something. I thought, yeah, it looks nice, but I don't know. I've seen it look way better elsewhere.
Yeah. It felt just kind of I don't know. The whole thing felt pointless to me. It was just like it. I don't know. I couldn't get over Tom Hardy's accent. I really couldn't.
It was pretty. His voice was pretty distracting. But after the first 10, 15 minutes, I got over it. He didn't really talk much after that, too. It would just be like, yeah.
Well, I think that's kind of. I think for the vast majority of people, whether they like this movie or not, is going to completely base like how they feel about the accent, just like Tom Hardy in general. Because like, I don't know, he was just like,
he sounded like fucking Kermit the Frog on heroin.
And I don't know. Like every time I saw him, I was like, wow, this is. Just for me, the accent was just so bad. I couldn't get over it. And I'm noticing this trend with Tom Hardy and these accents. Like
he's just really bad at doing a convincing accent. I rewatched The Dark Knight Rises, I don't know, a couple weeks ago. I didn't hate his accent, but it didn't really add to the experience for me. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I haven't had like massive problems with his accents. Like, there's been a couple in different movies. Like,
I was just going to ask you, was he bad in Lawless?
Accent. Yeah, he was good in Lawless, but his accent.
You ain't gonna talk to my brother like that.
Yeah, I think it's like a big obsession with him for like getting into character, and I think he just needs to chill out with that shit. Like,
Daniel
that
Day-Lewis, you're
was
saying?
yeah. I mean, listen, the accent is a very, very specific
Yeah.
choice. I
Yeah.
mean, like Groucho, the fucking trash can Muppet. You know, like,
Okay, so yeah, that was one big problem with the movie for me too as well. Do you remember the opening scene? Did it remind you at all of the Godfather scene where Vito's chasing around his grandson in the garden right before he dies?
okay, I didn't get that, but now that you're bringing it up, I think yeah, that is probably
Just
definitely
his
an
facial
influence.
expressions, the way he was roaring, I couldn't go anywhere else except for that.
Right. Okay. Um, so another one of my biggest problems with this movie is that Tom Hardy literally he sits in a chair and basically performs fellatio on a cigar and a carrot for the whole movie.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it just wasn't that Capone's thing. He always had a goddamn cigar in his mouth.
I mean, I don't. I mean, obviously, The Untouchables is my favorite film, and
Yeah.
De
All
Niro
right, who
was.
played Capone better, Robert De Niro or Tom Hardy?
That's a tough one. I think maybe in 10 years after this movie has lived a little, I'll be able to make that decision.
Oh, yeah.
No, I mean, obviously, De Niro is.
Is there anything about this film you enjoyed?
Wow. Um, honestly, I I think there was a couple moments in some of the flashback scenes.
Me too, as well. They were
Yeah, that
played like a horror movie, like a horror thriller kind of in it. That reminded
yeah,
me of
that
Hereditary a little bit, but those
yeah.
they worked. I wasn't scared or anything, but I was curious where it was going to go.
Yeah, I liked some of those because it broke up the monotony of him being in that house,
Than just shitting and pissing himself.
Right, yeah. And I mean I get it, the whole movie is about the last year of his life, so obviously it's gonna, you
Yeah,
know,
he's really going to unwind quickly. I felt it
but
happened too rapidly.
yeah. I mean the problem is that for me, I feel like this whole movie could have been like edited into like a decent 45-minute like epilogue for like a miniseries. You know what I'm
Maybe.
saying? Like the
Yeah.
end of his life.
Do you know who edited this film?
Yeah, the writer and
The writer
director
and
Josh
director. That's
Trank.
right. I noticed that. He had two
And that's
separate credits.
right. Yeah, that's the thing with Josh Trank is that I've never been a fan of his really.
I've never
Uh,
seen anything he's done.
oh, okay. Yeah, I've seen Chronicle and I've seen Fantastic Four, and he had the cut taken away from him on Fantastic Four, and it was like a huge disaster.
Yeah, for
But
some reason he thought that the studio would be fine with him turning their superhero movie into Scanners.
right, yeah. Which actually, when that movie is a body horror movie, it's pretty awesome. Like it's when
But when they tone it down, that's when it
well,
falters.
like the first half of the movie is like his movie, and then the next half is just legitimately like reshoots from a random person, and it's just awful.
Yeah, I decided I wasn't probably had no interest in it.
Yeah, but my point is that now he has no one to blame. Like he's the writer, he's the director, he had final cut. He's been
Yeah,
saying I have final cut. The only thing he had to change was he changed the title of the movie. It was originally called Fonzo because that was Capone's
that's just
nickname.
goofy. In fact, I found
Right.
it goofy throughout most of the film. Like a third of the dialogue was Fonzo, fonts.
Yeah, Fonz. Yeah. Yeah, that didn't work. And so that was a good marketing decision of changing the title.
Yeah,
You know,
for sure. It doesn't
because people,
really help the movie too much, though.
right. I mean, well, I mean, like as far as like people renting it, because like who the fuck is going to rent a movie called Fonzo? You know what I mean? Like if it's called Capone, you got more people willing to rent it.
If it's like Happy Time Murder style, except it's about a sociopathic serial killer Muppet, I would see that.
So, how did you feel about the movie in general?
Tedious. Like
Yeah,
I said, I liked a
perfect.
couple of the flashbacks, a couple of the delirious, like a couple. We'll get into specifics later, but a couple of the sort of visions he's seeing that aren't really there were they worked, I guess. Like it kept me thinking, okay, what's going to happen next? I didn't like the whole where's the hidden money aspect. I thought that was really stupid, and it was like the entire linchpin of the movie.
Right. Well, actually, I wanted to ask you about that because that was one of the questions I had. Because he has this, there's this reoccurring thing with him and this one statue, and he's talking to like the Mexican gardener guy, and it's
Yeah, I don't know if I wasn't paying attention or what, but it
the
kept.
statue. The statue looks like a penis,
Yeah,
and then they turn it. They turn it later in the movie. But I was wondering because this question is never really answered, so I don't feel like that's a spoiler. Was the money in the statue or was it in the water? Because
I
you know,
I don't think we're really meant to know. Nobody ever found it. Nobody ever is going to.
right? Because he says in the movie,
But then
dig where
why?
it's wet."
But then why bring it up? Why focus on the statue? Why focus on during one of
Right.
his
Halluc-
crazy rampages in his mind? He stumbles across where he thinks it is or something.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is because there's multiple points in the movie, and I'm like, okay, is this trying to fake me out? Because like when you think back on it, it seems
Yeah.
pointless.
So in
Like
general, sorry, and we'll because we're gonna get into spoilers if we get into that conversation. A
yeah,
no go on 2020's Capone.
yeah. I mean, I can't recommend people like. I mean, you spent $10 for this, right, to rent it.
Yeah,
It was 9.99. Yeah, I mean at 9.99 for this movie, I can't recommend it. Even like if you're a Tom Hardy fan or like
or one
as
of those mafia freaks. You know what I mean? Like anything mafia, they're all about it.
right. If you love Josh Trank, if you love gangster movies, if you love Tom Hardy, I still think that you should just like. I think this is like clearly. I mean, I can't necessarily say that it's going straight to streaming because I
This is
looked
a
at
whole this is a whole new way of living. Maybe
right,
I don't know. This is the one movie everybody decides to rent or
right.
pre-buy or something.
But did you notice at the very beginning of the movie, it says Red Box Entertainment?
Yeah, I saw that. I
Yeah,
gave me reason for pause.
right, exactly. And I was like, okay, Redbox must have been one of the financiers, and so I'm sure they have some type of deal with Redbox. I mean, obviously, because we're in a pandemic right now,
Yeah,
people aren't going to be able to get movies from Redbox. But that was something that I thought, like, I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. It's like that's
it made me think of I didn't see it, but it made me think of that Gotti movie. Didn't like
yeah,
wasn't
Gotti
like
was
Movie Pass involved with it or something?
yeah, Movie Pass Films was the main financer, and they released it. Yeah,
Is the word gangster that would be in my whether to recommend it or not. This reminded me a lot of better than Gangster Squad, but sort of executed in the same quality. You know what
yeah.
I'm saying?
I mean that's not saying much. I mean, Gangster Squad is like Little
It's terrible.
Untouchables. Yeah, it's awful. It's trying to be, and I mean honestly, like I mean I'm never gonna rewatch Gangster Squad, but I mean Sean Penn is truly horrible. That's another like he made a very specific choice in that movie, like Tom
Yeah.
Hardy, and it's just like does not work.
I was
So
super pumped to see it when it came out because I'm like, oh, it's like a sequel to LA Confidential. That'll be fucking awesome. No.
yeah, and especially with Ryan Gosling coming off of Drive and stuff. Yeah, it was
That too. I was like, Gosling, he really impressed me with Drive.
yeah. So yeah,
Okay.
definitely not a recommendation from me. How do you feel?
No. I don't
Yeah,
recommend Gangster Squad, nor do I recommend this movie.
yeah.
It felt, like I said, it felt like a whole bunch of ideas. Like, it reminded me
Still
of
there?
There Will Be Blood. It reminded me of Hereditary a little bit, just the
Hmm.
sequences where, he's following the kid with the balloon. We're in the spoiler section, by the way.
Right. Oh, okay, we're in spoilers. Did it remind you of Shining at all in any
Um,
moments?
I mean, a little bit. Now that you say that, with like the dig where it's wet, or you know what I mean? Like he's in a
Yeah,
fever dream, but he's also getting possibly relevant information.
right. And he's in that house and everything like that. Um, yeah, so that was something that I was like, okay. I mean, I feel like he's probably influenced by that, but it's I mean, even cinematography wise, it looked pretty bland to me, and
Yes,
like, and even like the scenes when they were outside, because they're outside a lot,
they
it
could have just
felt
been on a set, man.
right. Yeah, it looked like so bright, like way too bright, way overlit. Like they brought all these cameras they brought all these lights when they could have just used natural light or something like that on a technical level.
There Will Be Blood. That's my like the music. It was like that sort of grand sweeping
Right.
classical music, but the cinematography, it's like, okay, drone shot over the river. It's not really.
That brings me to my biggest disappointment with this movie is the score because
You kidding
I
me? This is the only movie I've seen where they featured a tune by Memphis Minnie.
well the score for me really like upset me because that was like my one of my main reasons for wanting to watch this movie because
Did the trailer have like awesome music or something?
no I know the guy who did the score is LP from Run the Jewels. He's the producer and half of
Seriously?
the rap duo from Run the Jewels.
Yeah,
And
I don't remember where or when, but we've covered Run the Jewels at some point.
yeah, and they got an album coming out this year, and he's just like an incredible producer. Like he makes just fucking incredible beats, and so it was like, besides the
I didn't
closing
think there was
credits,
any original music. It all sounded like classical or that Memphis Minnie song.
right? Well, that's the thing. Is like I was like, there's no score in this movie. I was like, it's like it
Maybe
wasn't
like the
until
stings during the dream sequences or the dementia sequences.
yeah, and well, the only thing that stood out to me was like the closing credits. Like that had some like really interesting sounding kind of music. But besides that, I was like, you could have told me that anyone scored this movie. And so that was like, I thought at the very least, even if I didn't like the movie, I'm like, oh man, music's gonna be fucking great.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was like that really made it rough, even rougher to watch. So
I mean, all in all, I'm never going to watch it again, but it's not like I
oh
feel hatred for watching it, you know?
no, it's one of those movies where you just kind of like, man, this could have been way better.
Yeah. Yeah,
This
yeah.
this is just I mean, you got a big star in Tom Hardy. You got a director who was back against the ropes. The studios were like, fuck this guy, so he had something to prove. And to me, he proved absolutely nothing. I mean, I don't know why. I don't know why any studio would even want to take a chance on him after this movie. Like,
Yeah, I mean, unless it makes money, then probably not. No.
right? Yeah, and I don't see this movie making money on VOD really that much.
You say that, but I've seen like every one of those YouTube film reviewers has covered this movie. Um,
Yeah,
so it's like, is that going to create a market where like people watch the reviews and like, all right, I have to see how bad or how good it is compared upon what they say?
yeah. I mean, I think there's definitely a curiosity factor because I think there's a lot of people who just want something to watch, and I think price point wise, this is like way cheaper than.
It's also way better, man. There's nothing better than laying in bed and watching a movie.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, because a lot of the other movies that are uh, on VOD, they're like $20. The ones that were supposed to go to theaters.
Like The
So
Invisible Man.
yeah, yeah.
What about
So
like Scooby Doo's movie or whatever the fuck it is?
yeah, and the Trolls World Tour, which supposedly did like over 100 million or something like that.
Honestly, I could see myself, if it's a movie I really want to watch, I could see myself spending $20 to just lay in bed and watch it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it depends though, because it's like,
I'd have to really want to watch it.
yeah, but it's like if you really, really want to watch a movie and it's like meant for the big screen, Is it?
Yeah,
I mean, obviously now we're in different times, so it's like I mean,
there's no choice.
who wants to go back to the theater anyway? I don't really know.
Was
And
Neil
what's
Brennan his attorney?
Yes, yeah, that
Why?
was that's and the director was also the guy across the table. Not the one interrogating him, but the guy with the recording device.
Oh, I don't
Yeah,
even. He left
yeah,
such a big impression on me. I can't even picture him right now.
yeah. That guy who interrogated him was horrible. That whole scene was like pointless. It was yeah, and even the scene before it when he was in um the
In the van,
building. No, I
right?
mean with his boss. Remember, and
Oh,
they're all
yeah, yeah,
drinking
yeah.
scotch and
That's where they
shit.
played Memphis Minis. Can
Yeah,
I
it
do it
was.
for you?
Yeah, that's. I mean, that just goes back to the dialogue in this movie. It's just it felt like a high school play. The dialogue. I mean, it
Yeah.
just felt like a bad script.
Another problem. Um, did not really care for Linda Cardellini in this.
Yeah, I mean, didn't like her. I honestly feel like the whole cast was
Was
pretty bad.
the gray haired guy who was hanging out when his son came around? Was that also his son? He was balding. He's been in a
Oh, I
bunch of
don't.
movies.
I think that they just grew up together. I think he said.
Oh yeah, they did. You're right. You're right. I was about to say Linda
Yeah, 'cause
Cardellini looked younger than his wife, if that was supposed to be like her daughter-in-law or something, but it wasn't. And I'm an
yeah,
idiot.
and I mean, both of his sons in the movie are just terrible. Like
Yes.
they're just horrible actors,
I
and they
was
keep.
thinking the one son who's in most of the movie, if they replaced him with not Paul Dano, the other young white kind of blondish kid, what the hell is his name?
Dane DeHaan, the one
Not
from
him either. I'm
Capone.
trying to think of. The problem is, I can't even remember any of the movies he's been in.
Oh, okay. Well, that's gonna make it tough. So I mean, have these movies come out like recently or past few years or what?
Yeah, for the past few years, white kid Dane, not Dane DeHaan. He really reminds me of Paul Dano. That sort of. He was
Paul,
in. Not the
Dane.
kid from. Not the kid from Last Exorcism. Do you know Last Exorcism?
Are you talking about the kid in Baby Driver?
I never saw Baby Driver.
Okay, wow. Oh shit.
I
Yeah,
just
I mean,
saw something with him. I can picture his face.
yeah, I just
Let's drop it since this is
yeah.
leading us nowhere, though. Yeah, the whole cast awful.
Yeah, I mean, the
Tom,
thing
I
is,
like
it's
Tom Hardy, but his voice, it's so distracting. He sound like I said, he sounded like Kermit the Frog, but Italian gangster style.
yeah, it was, and just constantly see him drooling and fucking. I mean, his makeup, was okay, I guess, right? I mean,
Yeah, it wasn't bad. It wasn't as I think it could have been better, honestly. Like
yeah,
his scars at some points look like just somebody put mascara on his face.
yeah, yeah. That's
What
yeah,
I needed from this movie was it had to be slower. It just rushed through his decline. It rushed through his because the ultimate point was he had a secret son named Tony, right?
yeah. Which that was just
He only appeared in the movie for like 5 minutes total, and at the end, he's just sitting with his dying dad, and that's the end of the movie.
right. Yeah, I mean, it's just that whole thing with the phone call and even him talking to his son. It was just like, why are we even doing this? Like, who cares? That's
The
the thing. Is
movie
like
has
the whole
to have a point.
yeah. I mean, the whole time I'm watching this movie, I'm like, I don't care about anyone. I don't care what happens. It's just like, you know,
Let's get into what we did like the dream sequences. I knew the second one where he shot the gardener was definitely a dream sequence because he was handling that Tommy gun like a goddamn pro. Reminded me of Miller's Crossing when Albert Finney they come to his house to kill him.
right. Yeah, I mean that brought some life to the movie, but even then, like it's just, I mean,
We're,
Tom Hardy's
yeah,
he's in a fucking diaper waddling around like a penguin.
that's another reason why I thought it probably wasn't it probably wasn't real.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Is because at the end of the movie, you see the Mexican guy. He got shot in the foot, and you know, I mean, you don't know what's real and what's reality. I mean, you do see him like plastering the walls, the holes.
Yeah.
But it's like, once again, like, who cares? Like even the guy he killed, he's like, "You're a dirty animal,"
You're all
you're a
dirty
piece of shit.
snakes or something.
Yeah, and it's like, who cares? Like the guy stabbed somebody. You've killed people. What do you care?
You feel it was his ghost friend. What was his ghost friend? Matt Dillon.
Yeah, which the introduction of him, like that sex scene, was so fucking bizarre.
Why was it even there? If he's dead, was it what's his name imagining it?
To throw you off? Is that it?
That's the only way it makes sense, because it becomes pretty obvious pretty quick. Oh no, this dude's definitely not there, or he's dead. You know what I mean? They come right out and tell you. He's out like talking to him out after they watch The Wizard of Oz, and he's like, "Give my friend a drink, you bitch."
Right. Well, that goes into like the just unintentional hilarious shit. It's like when he says to Matt Dillon, he's like, "I want to go fishing," and then we immediately cut to
him
Tom
in a dress.
Yeah, him in drag in a fucking car, and just like,
was that wasn't real then, was it?
No. And then
do you think that was kind of playing off of there was pictures of him fishing in his pool? Do you think they sort of alluding to that or something? You ever see that? That's like a famous picture of Al Capone. In his latter years, he's like sitting by his pool with a fishing rod.
Right. Yeah, I mean, maybe.
Didn't help this movie too much, though.
No, I mean, that scene on the boat was pretty funny though. When the
he shoots the fucking alligator.
It's like, "You fucking bum! That was mine."
I miss Matt Dillon. This is the first movie I've seen him in since like There's Something About Mary.
Right. Yeah. I mean, he did do a movie last year that I haven't seen yet where he plays a serial killer. It's called The House That Jack Built. Lars von Trier did it.
Ew.
Yeah, I do want to see that. I've heard it's pretty messed up.
I've seen a couple Lars von Trier movies, Antichrist and Anatomy of a Murder. They were Antichrist, it was, I'm an artist now. I'm going to be as, artsy as possible.
Antichrist is pretty brutal. It's a tough
Anatomy of a Murder, I thought was boring.
I don't think I've seen that. I try to stay away from his films for the most part.
Yeah, now I do as well.
What did you think about this scene when he shit the bed? Because the reaction of that when Linda Cardellini just gets up and he's like, "Oh, what happened?" She's like, "You shit the bed."
Yeah. What I needed from this, I think I started saying this earlier and I cut myself off through some random tangent. We needed a more slowly decline into mental instability. You know what I mean? Because he wasn't like with it to start the movie, but at least he's walking around, he's talking on the phone. And then within like 2-3 scenes, he's, chewing on a goddamn carrot.
Yeah, I mean, well, that goes into, just Kyle MacLachlan as the doctor, like that.
That was kind of an odd choice too. Every time I see, I don't know if it's just me, but every time I see Kyle MacLachlan, I think of, his characters from David Lynch's stuff.
Right, Twin Peaks, Blue Velvet. Yeah, I mean, I like Kyle MacLachlan, but he just had nothing to do in this movie at all, and then he just disappears. He just disappears.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that because I was excited because I like Matt Dillon and Kyle MacLachlan, but
aside from Tom Hardy, I didn't know anybody else in this. I didn't look into who was going to be in it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I watched the trailer, so I knew that they were in it. But,
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they had a budget of $20 million, and it's like, I mean,
It
They
all
just,
went to making that mansion statue filled, I guess.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I guess that's. It just seems like they could have done a lot more for 20 million, but I mean, I guess the best they could do was have Matt Dillon cut out his eyeballs and put him on
Yeah, that
Capone's
was.
lap.
Why did he? Um,
That was the funniest scene in the movie to me.
did it have any sort of symbolic meaning or anything, or it's just
Well, that's the thing is that I mean, he says, what does Matt Dillon say when he cuts out the eyeballs? Like, you'll know.
look into my like he says look into these or something
Yeah,
for the
but it's like,
treasure.
yeah. I don't know.
Maybe you want to
Seems
watch something about Mary. We'll say that.
made me want to watch anything but this movie. Yeah, I mean, I mean, is there anything else
There's
you could?
not there's not really we thought I thought the acting sucked. I thought the dialogue sucked. Turn of events. It happened too quick. Like I said, it may have worked better. Better cinematographer and better better sort of decline. Not so rapid.
Right.
That's I think another reason why I thought of There Will Be Blood, because that's the whole point of that movie. This guy's slow burn into fucking becoming a horrible person.
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather just watch There Will Be Blood.
I rewatched it not long ago. That
Uh,
also helps.
yeah, this is it's just a swing and a miss. It's just I don't know.
Josh Trank's career is over. Make room, ladies. M. Night Shyamalan has taken his place.
I guess so.
So yeah, double no recommendation. Any
Yeah, can't
movies coming
recommend
to
it.
streaming or possibly theaters that have you intrigued?
Um, I mean, there's uh there's a new Netflix original with Charlize Theron. It's an action movie that's coming out. That seems kind of interesting. I don't know if that'll be any good, but that's something new. Uh, there's a horror movie on Hulu that just got put on there, The Lodge. It seemed kind of interesting. There's a few things out there, but it's
Nothing really earth shattering.
nothing nothing crazy, I don't think.
Yeah, I got nothing on the horizon really calling to me either. We're
Yeah.
truly in the apocalypse of film.
Yeah, it's I honestly I don't know if theaters are ever really gonna recover from this.
Yeah, I couldn't say either. All right,
Yeah,
girls
it's
and boys. You fucking bitch, get my friend a drink.